You mad? You mad? You're mad.
Okay, so in the last video, I had a question. Now, the DC Baby Draco versus Suspect drama, saga, whatever you want to call it, is very interesting. But I had this one looming question, and it's kind of like the why is this happening? It had seemed like it came out of nowhere, but in reality, upon digging deeper, it's definitely not out of nowhere. And on top of that, new friend of the channel, DC Baby Draco, actually posted some very helpful context clues on his Instagram page as to why Suspect might have felt enough of a way to either, talk bad on his name, do little sneak shots and jabs at him. We kind of figured out why. It's something as old as history. Some of the most ancient wars ever started over a woman. So Suspect, he's supposed to be Mr. P, right? But he's beefing with somebody over him being in his feelings over Jalise. Just because their steakhouse date didn't work out, but DC Baby Draco had Jalise all up in the telly. You see him monkey dunking her right there. He's literally monkey dunking her like he's Daniel Gafford on the Wizards. Like he's Stroll Miles Swift. If y'all know who Stroll Miles Swift is, check that out. Monkey dunk. That's what a monkey dunk is. Anywho, though, from one animal to the other, let's jump to Poetik Bison Back now, because that's how we're gonna start this one off for real. I just had to throw those clips in to provide a little answer for the question that I had in the previous video. But so for this video, Poetik Bison Back, he has Almighty Dotson's replacement lined up. Suspect asked the replacement to line it up the first time he met the guy. Yeah, Brandon, the defiant one. The dude who can slam Flocko's ops on their heads at any given moment. Flocko has his goon in place, and now his goon isn't just all bronze either. He can debate. Yeah, I don't agree with all his takes, but he can debate. He does that. The first time he was on No Jumper, second time was, the news, but he did an interview. It was Flocko as the moderator, Brandon on one side of the debate, and Gorilla Hebrew on the other side of the debate. And that was what the whole premise of the show was. Now, keep in mind, Flocko's been actually wanting to transition from doing just regular news reporting or doing the No Jumper news to holding a debate-based show. That's what he wants his thing to be on No Jumper. So that was kind of a test run for that. But also, it's a test run for taking the channel into a different direction, which with the current events at No Jumper, they kind of do have to move away from the gang content. Oh, and speaking of moving away from the gang content, the guest of honor, he wasn't playing that shit, for lack of better words. He said, "Yo, I'm not here to talk about none of that gang shit." He gave them one warning, and Brandon slipped up, mentioned a gang again, all in the span of like 3 minutes, and dude packed up his shit and bounced. So I told y'all I'm not sitting on here with y'all and talking no gang shit. So check out this clip.
The Travis Ford thing.
Okay.
Because I think you're 100% wrong for rejecting those Crips who were knocking at your door. Because I didn't know the details.
Okay. Counter narrative.
No, this ain't no counter narrative. This is real.
Yeah, listen, we're not about to politic over here and talk about gangs, man.
About gangs?
It's not even about like a specific gang.
No, this ain't about gangs.
Like
this ain't about gangs.
This isn't really specific to any gang.
Well, there's...
okay, so what do you think I should have done?
Okay, so you told me when we were talking behind the scenes, they showed up, they had like a vehicle that was wrapped with like No Jumper signage, and they brought gifts to you like to pay homage. Like, cake. Listen, man, have you ever seen the movie King of New York?
No.
Okay, that's your problem. If you go, you need to
Frank
immediately
White.
watch that movie so you could understand the very.
Nah, that's fire though.
No, real
They
talk.
fuck with you though.
One thing about Frank.
King of New York's a movie about gangs back in the day,
listen,
right?
no,
Yes.
It's not like
no,
Jaws.
no,
It's in the 80s.
that's Gangs of New York. See,
Right.
you're wrong. King of New York
It's
is
in the
Frank
80s.
White.
It's in the
Oh,
80s.
King of New York.
Let me get this out so I can
Sorry,
educate. Frank White was a drug dealer in New York. His whole crew was black, real killers,
Like
right?
me. Okay.
He was a clean-cut dude. But one thing about Frank White, that's why Biggie Smalls always reference, he's like, I'm the black Frank White. You heard that
His
reference
name was
before?
Frank White.
yeah.
Because Frank White was not afraid or nervous around his guys. As vicious as they was, as black as they were, as clean-cut as he was, he walked in and he act like when in Rome, do as the Romans
They had
do,
synchronized
and they had a
dances.
high level of respect for him.
They had synchronized dances.
But with black people, some people can mistake respect for aggression, right?
Okay.
And that's what you did. They did. Black people don't even do shit like that. Pull up with rap vehicles and cakes and stuff. The fact that they did that, that was the 60 Crips giving you a high amount of respect. And what you did was,
That wasn't no respect.
no, listen, okay, name one person. Listen, I'm going to speak on it as a dude from Long Beach and LA County. Name one white person who you've ever heard of a gang coming up, bringing them a cake,
like that, bro.
wrapping a vehicle with that signage from your brand, right? That's a high show of
fair,
respect.
it wasn't a wrap. They actually had like monitors on the
All right,
side
brother.
of the vehicle. You
Hey.
out of here?
Yes, sir.
All right.
I'll-
What happened? You just not into the gang talk?
Oh,
All right, Neff. Much respect,
All
player.
right, shit. That was a powerful appearance. I'm gonna hit you after this.
All right, so there's the clip of the guest leaving, but I play that one because it also touches on the second to last video, which is Lush in the whole Travis Ford incident that led to Lush's suspension and all that. Because this was basically supposed to be Lush's first day back, and you would think that the spotlight would be all on that. But to be honest, the 4-hour episode was kind of, for my purposes, it was a little boring. Like, I enjoyed listening to it. It was a good listen. I think Brandon is a pretty good podcaster in this group setting. You know, like I said earlier, his debate skills are there, and he's not afraid to challenge Adam, but it's not in an ignorant way like how Almighty Suspect does it, or like how some of the other hosts in the past have done it. He's not just there to glaze. He stands on his opinions, even with some of those opinions being extremely strong. So it is refreshing, I think, is what it is. Now, we'll have to see how all those viewers feel about the guy once the honeymoon phase is essentially over. Because, you know, the honeymoon phase, it's easy to be happy during that. It's, oh, well, this is something new. But once the new kid on the block is no longer the new kid on the block, how does the block feel about him? That's yet to be known, right? Time will only tell. Now, to get us to our next clip, let me just say, it's going to be Wack 100 sitting down to talk with Adam like they do every week. But they're going to be talking about the whole Almighty Suspect versus Brandon thing because, you know, Almighty Suspect has been very problematic at the office. Now, this clip is from Sunday's Adam and Wack show. So it's a few days old now at this point, with today being Wednesday, that y'all will be hearing this. But it's still relevant, I think, because to the overall theme of this video, that Flocko, he's had this revenge plotted out for, I don't know, maybe about a year now, maybe even a little more. And why I bring up Flocko's revenge, that being the actual theme of this video, is that Adam is kind of running the idea by the other higher ups or the people that he respects, you know, to get opinions on, hey, what do you think of this Brandon guy? Will you be able to get past him calling you sassy? You know, okay, you guys already hashed it out. That's kind of how this conversation goes. But see, if you watch No Jumper for enough time, you'll realize that occasionally when there's like a hiring or firing decision, that Adam will run it by Wack at the Adam and Wack show and get his opinion on it, because he's managed for a long time in the entertainment industry. You know, Wack's like a manager. So his business acumen and decision making is actually pretty high. All his flaws, we know his flaws, and the things that he goes viral for is sometimes nothing but pure negativity and things like that. But at the end of the day, you have to respect the businessman that is Wack 100. He's been managing some of the biggest names in the hip hop space for what, 2 decades now, for 20 plus years. Like, that's impressive. Not everybody, can just pick that type of brain whenever they want to. And I think Adam is smart enough to take advantage of that when necessary. So he's basically going to another manager of sorts and asking about this new prospective talent. And that's what's going to happen in this clip right here, while they also talk about the personal kind of back and forth that they've already had via 2 different podcasts under the same network. So let's check that out.
I had a situation that arose this week because Brandon, who, if you're not fully tapped into the No Jumper universe, he's the dude, the heavyset guy from Long Beach.
Yeah, I didn't know who he was.
Got into a huge argument with Suspect on the news, and that was very notable. He, on the No Jumper show on Tuesday, we can actually slip the clip in here. He had a few choice words for you.
No, listen.
You reached out to me, very much not happy about it. I said we should get a podcast going with you guys.
Well, no,
and then you guys ended up getting on the phone and talking it out.
So when Wack, with his lying ass, he was like, oh, man, Wack, that's a problem with older black dudes. Bro, know his ass is wrong, but he tried to over-talk you, and he's wrong. Bro, remind me of my mom or my grandma. You're wrong, bro.
You just call him
He's sassy as fuck. No. Bro's being sassy.
Listen,
he was being
Wack is
sassy. Listen, man, he was being sassy.
Listen,
he was
got
being
the content.
Listen,
We
he was
got
being
the
sassy.
content.
He was being no. I mean, even if man to man, he know he was being sassy as fuck because you were trying to explain to him the context that he was missing, and he's like, no, this and that, and I'm like, come on, man. Represent us a little better. You wrong. You're at a different point in the timeline, and you think you understand everything.
This was the thing, right? I know me, right? And I'm not taking nothing from Brick Baby, but certain things that said, if it's not an understanding before we see each other, the understanding is going to be sought out another way, right? We all have our strengths and our weaknesses. And one of my weaknesses is I'm still kind of tapped into reacting to disrespect when it's in front of me, right? So when I called him, I'm like, bro, I don't think I know you. And they told me he was tied to, what's them dudes I like?
The Viral Way.
The Viral Way, right?
With them.
So when he told me he was tied to the Viral Way, I said, you know what? I ain't met them brothers, but I f with them brothers. Let me tone it down a little bit and try to have a conversation. I said, what's the issue? He said, Wack, the issue is, you said I got marked out in this. I said, well, you mentioned fight, the nigga jumped up to fight and used a statue. He said, well, Wack, I didn't mention fighting first. He said, Adam was trying to tell you this, but you didn't want to listen to him. I said, I kind of remember that, but I remember you taking some clickbait off the screen and you saying he don't want to fight. And when he said no, before that, he said, Suspect said something else. I didn't hear that. I don't know where, I forgot what he told me.
Suspect allegedly said the N-word with the hard R.
No,
and Brandon asked him about it.
No, we know what the conversation is about.
Right.
But he said Suspect kind of said something as far as like him wanting to fight. And then I told him, well, we don't got to go nowhere to fight. I said, well, Suspect ain't no dummy. He know dealing with a guy your size in that small space is at a disadvantage. He's going to want to go outside. He said, okay, Wack, let me put something else in front of you didn't know. I said, shoot. He said, after that podcast, if Suspect was you, what would have been the energy? Oh, when the cameras went off and we went out, then I'd have been telling you, let's get it out the way, if that's the way I was feeling on camera. He said, well, I hung out 10, 15 minutes in the immediate area, and he said Suspect and his buddy disappeared to the bathroom the whole time. Right? Maybe they went in 2 different bathrooms.
I cannot confirm or deny. I was not here.
Yeah, this is what he says.
All right.
So he says, Suspect had nothing to say to me when the cameras went off. He didn't say nothing. He said, I'm waiting for him to say something. Right? So I said, well, if that's the case, then you got a point. I can't say you turned it down. I can say, you was trying to be professional because you trying to get a spot in no jumper. He said, yeah, exactly. I said, okay, I get it. I said, in that aspect, maybe I was wrong. So he said, well, Wack, I said you was sassy. I said, yeah, but you know, my world, that's like some gay shit. He said, nah, Wack, I don't hear it like that, but you know what? If you hear it like that, then I need to switch that up, clean that up, right? I said, okay, cool. You do your end, I do my end. Adam wants to do a pod. At that point, we can sit down and have a conversation. Now, out of respect to you, right? I'm not going to tell you in this building, yeah, set it up. He come in, we start locking up.
Right.
Then you're going to look at me like, Wack, what kind of bullshit
We don't
you
want to
on?
encourage that, yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So when I tell you, hold on, me and Dude got to have a conversation. I'm not going to say, well, you the one, boom, 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 because in your mind, it's just conversation. It's just content. Some things with some individuals, it's deeper than content. And when you do and say certain things, right, it's going to bring a reaction. But we talk. I think he's a good dude. He sound like a real intelligent dude.
Yeah, he's a smart guy.
He told me, he said, Wack, I'm going to go clean that up. I said, when I do my thing Thursday, I'm going to make sure I clean it up and tell the back end of the story. And then we had a conversation.
Kind of awkward because him and Suspect have this whole thing going on, but I definitely see the potential in him as a podcast host.
He's like he's going to attract a cleaner crowd.
Right. Because that was one thing when I went and did the Viral Way in Long Beach, which everybody should go check that out. Me and Lush actually went down last Friday. And when we were on there, one of the criticisms that they threw my way in regards to No Jumper is they said, we feel like, yeah, you got a lot of 4Xtras, you got a lot of Crip Max. Why not have somebody who's a representative of the culture, the community, who's maybe a more respectable example of that? Maybe not everybody needs to be a gang member. And I said, I agree with you. This group that is No Jumper it kind of organically grows and shrinks, and occasionally a limb gets cut off as time goes by. And I actually agree with that criticism. We do need more, but we have a Flocko, we have a Remo, we have quite a few people.
All right, and so at the end of that clip, Wack is just gonna push back a little bit for the sake of podcasting, I think, and kind of like. He says he respects Viral Way, but then at the same time, he says he doesn't give a damn about their opinion on what Adam should do with his platform just because Adam has more subscribers than Viral Way. But, Adam clapped back pretty reasonably by saying, just because they have less subscribers doesn't mean that their criticism isn't valid. And I think that's an important reminder for everybody in this space. One way, regardless of who has the higher subscriber count in any given moment in time, doesn't make your criticism any more valuable or less valuable just because of subscriber count, whether it be higher than who you're criticizing or lower than who you're criticizing. Everybody's entitled to their opinions and to their critiques. That being said, let's jump back into what is this, a No Jumper? I think this is a No Jumper show as well. We're going to jump into Adam asking Brandon, did he have a preconceived idea or notion to come in and press Almighty Suspect? In a roundabout way, that's kind of like asking, is it true the narratives online that I've been seeing are that Flocko sent you to press Almighty Suspect in whatever shape or form that was supposed to go about? You went about it in multiple ways, for real. That's how I interpreted the question, at least. But don't just take my word for it. Check out the question and let's check out Brandon's answer right here in this clip.
That now would be a good time for us to dive into some important topics, and I think that since Brandon is here and we want to get him while he's still at the early part of his energy cycle, let's just lay it on the table. Brandon, you lit the No Jumper universe on fire because you and Almighty Suspect got into a situation on this podcast. Now, the initial thing that started it, people think, I saw Suspect talking about, Suspect basically feels as if you initiate it by picking at him and telling him that he wasn't allowed to say the N-word. You were questioning his blackness. not cool, man.
Right.
And he wasn't feeling it. And as a result, there was a situation. He offered to go outside with you for a fade. You said no. Then he realized you're a jiu-jitsu black belt, and you started sort of like demanding and saying that at some point in the future you really wanted to have a fade. Let's talk about this. I guess I caught some flack from Suspect because I said that Suspect started with the personal attacks, and he feels like by you questioning his blackness, you were actually the one who started with the personal attacks. Let's talk about it. Did you come in with the idea in your head that you were going to go to war with Almighty Suspect? And also, why are these fries here? Should I open it up so everybody can look at it?
The thing is that
Wow, look at that sauce.
I thought you heard
Jesus
something,
Christ.
here's the thing. There's no way I could have planned that because everything erupted off of something that he said while he was sitting on the couch. So
but before the camera even got turned on.
Yes, there's no way I could have known that I was gonna walk in and the dude was gonna say the N-word with a hard ER on the end.
Now, do you think that he was
joking.
doing that intentionally, or did it
No,
just
I
come out
think
that way?
it's-
Because we saw a few other video clips of him that people managed to find in which he kind of said the N-word with the hard R without seemingly even trying to be saying it. Like maybe he just pronounces it that way sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah, but
R in LA a lot,
I
right?
think
All right, so I have a little theory real quick to get off. I don't think, Brandon was really that upset about getting called ER because now this is an older clip, not that much older, like a week old, but fast forward to this Tuesday show where Brandon was sitting on there with Lush after the guests walked out, and Lush was getting grilled for saying the N-word on stream. While not at No Jumper, but still while on stream during his music stream. Lush said the N-word. He admits that it's a regular part of his vocabulary ever since he was a kid. If Brandon really felt that passionately about a black man, I don't care if Almighty Suspect had a white mom and a black dad or a white dad and a black mom. Now, this is my opinion. I know some of y'all opinions may vary on this. But if Suspect even got a quarter black in him, which we know he has more than that, he can say it with the ER if he wants to. Now, is it weird? Yes. Now, in calling another black man a ER in a disrespectful manner, that is kind of crazy, especially if you know the ideologies that the person that you're calling that subscribes to. That's like calling somebody in the deep South that black or not, they're gonna take offense to that. Some of them don't even say it with the GGA on the end. So I just feel like he's picking and choosing. Now, why is he picking and choosing? Why is the theme of this episode for real? Because I think it's just a convenient excuse. He was sent by Flocko to get Suspect up off the show because ever since the whole ending the Monday show with Gina, Suspect, and Flocko, when Flocko went and said, I don't want to do the Monday show no more, and I don't want to podcast with those two, but I think they're talented. Like, he did the whole feedback sandwich in the form of an HR complaint. Ever since then, I think Flocko's been trying to get Suspect out of the out of his employment, essentially, right? And this is just another step in that. Now, he's getting close, though. He's almost at his goal. He almost got Brandon to defend himself on stream. He almost got Almighty to be the aggressor, but Almighty said, let's take this outside. Brandon needed him to take off on him on stream so he can then go single leg or double leg and drive him right into that no jumper coffee table. And, that's all she wrote for Almighty's employment as he gets body slammed on his way out of the door. That's Flocko's plan, I think. And the N-word thing was just the most convenient excuse for confronting Almighty. Now, let's hear Brandon's explanation for it, but I'm calling BS on it. I think this is the equivalent of somebody who's slappable sits in front of you. They just have a slappable face, or the way they talk, they're so arrogant, and you're both in the same class in school, and this dude just annoys you. He could be white, Hispanic, whatever. It could be another black dude. And you just go with the most convenient excuse once you done got caught for fighting dude in the middle of the class. Now, if you really want to get down, you probably going to leave the class, go fight in the bathroom, go fight, behind the buildings or something during lunch break. But people that want to just get it off right there in front of the teacher, it's like you kind of want to get caught. If you're doing that, you ain't even trying to be able to get your full issue off. So I think that Brandon was supposed to get suspect to crash out, and he was either supposed to body him with debate, which I think is always Brandon's first approach, is to body him with words, but he also trains physically just in case you want to take it there. So either way, he was prepared. Flocko done sent, a debating goon to get suspect about the paint, and the plan is probably working. As we saw in the Wack clip, they're basically agreeing that, like, yeah, we'll probably bring dude on as a more permanent fixture. But I'm gonna let Brandon finish his BS, and then we're gonna get on to the next clip. But I just had to get my little theory off that Flocko for sure was plotting revenge ever since what's gonna come up after this clip is done playing, actually.
Listen, man, let me say this, Adam.
What's his race?
He's black.
All my suspect is black, a little bit more on the light skin side of things.
Okay, so
Lush, I got a question.
yes,
The way you be glazing suspect, are you this nigga real dad?
that's fucked up, bro. That's his
Nah,
partner, my
you be
partner,
like
fool.
a proud dad.
Wait,
You so cool, man. I be like,
so Brandon,
That's
so you
first
still
of all,
stand
Dan,
on that's what
That's
you
my
heard.
nephew.
no, I know what I heard because
Okay,
we
you said
proved
it.
that with video of him doing it at other times.
Okay.
And I jokingly asked him, "Did you say the hard ER?"
Right.
Now he flew off the handle. I thought he was just slurring his words, right? But then we got the video of him saying it, and you know what? Maybe he just says it unconsciously. The point is, I didn't intentionally offend, bro. But the bigger point is, you guys are so irresponsible as the people he looks up to. I know he looks up to y'all by the sheer amount of times he's requested or sought validation from you guys. You guys never corrected that man and said, "Hey, bro, you pronouncing the hard ER, even if it's a mistake."
Also, I would not say none of my.
I blame you.
One at a time.
How two white boys go correct him?
Yeah,
Well, they could have just made it about YouTube. Like, hey, you can't say that on YouTube.
And I never heard him say it like that.
But you saw the video of him saying it, right?
After the
look
fact.
back.
But
Okay.
also, that's none of my business. If he wants to
hell
pronounce it
no,
like that, go
Hey,
ahead.
he could get this demonetized. You could have just made it like a workplace
I don't
thing.
think that the algorithm
Hey.
could differentiate between the hard R and the soft
Oh, they
A.
definitely can.
Really?
They definitely
Brandon,
can.
They ain't the ones to correct him.
But what about all these black men sitting up in here with him? The point is, I wasn't offended. I just asked him because I was kind of taken aback, but I thought it was kind of funny. But
Man.
Hey, Brandon.
he's
got up
emotional.
and slapped
Flocko
him.
not black,
Nah,
bro.
we not doing that.
You should have got up and
Flocko
slapped
No,
him.
no.
sure not black.
Getting up, fighting with
Flocko
no,
just
he's
dark
black.
skinned.
He's a black man. He's just Liberian.
African.
He's Liberian. We're all African.
No,
but
no,
the thing,
no.
No,
Flocko,
it's a
All
okay.
of y'all.
It's a difference
Yo, what's up,
between.
boy?
Flocko's white man inside, and you know what I'm saying he not gonna correct him.
I wouldn't say it's Flocko's white man side. I would say that just like what she said, I should have jumped up and slapped suspect. Listen, man, me jumping up and fighting
You
suspect
scary?
is not consistent with
He's
the goals
scared.
that I've set for my life. Okay,
And I respect that.
Sometimes you have to. You can't just give the message. Sometimes you got to be the message. I can't sit up and criticize Wack 100 for telling 16 whatever his name is to crash out at the Marathon Burger, then be up here wrestling around on the ground with this. What's his
Talking
name?
about Rockstar?
Yeah, Rockstar. So what's his name?
Rockstar 2800.
Oh, 2800. And then I'm up here rolling around on the ground with suspect. Like, bro, come on, man. At what time is the black man going to represent himself the right way instead of doing shit that's ignorant that he knows he shouldn't be doing? Just because why? Because he knows no matter what he does, he could always blame Adam. Oh, Adam got y'all up there crashing out. He knows this audience, when you do something stupid, they're going to blame Adam. How does that help this young man who's a young man who needs to grow? How does that help him grow? I actually blame that shit on dudes like Wack 100, 4 Extras, all these dudes up here who should be giving that dude game. He ain't in a gang, so all y'all could collectively give bro some insight. But instead of doing that,
4 Extras for
let's
sure
let
give
bro,
you more insight.
instead of Lush, his real dad, fucking giving him
4
game,
Extras
he's
should be giving
fucking
him some
glazing
insight,
his
yeah.
ass, and he's up here tripping.
No, but
Yeah, so all that shit sounds fine and dandy, but we're not gonna let that distract us from our narrative here, which is Flocko done plotted this whole shit. Now, what made Flocko mad enough to carry out this long form revenge? Well, we're gonna go back to the past to understand the present. Check out one of the legendary streams where Almighty and Flocko went back and forth in a yelling match in the same room that we just seen them all sitting in right now. But this was with a different little, different set, same room. Almighty still got that same energy, has not really evolved as a content creator, at least in the no jumper space. And I think it's looking shaky for him. I think he's on the thinnest ice. It's melting. He's about to fall through. He's about to drown. Can he get a life vest last second? Maybe. Prolong it for a little bit. But either way, I think the writing's on the wall. Your replacement is here. He was brought by your biggest workplace op, which is Flocko, a.k.a. Poetik Bison Back, a.k.a. Freaky Fred. So let's check out Bison Back versus Dotson right here.
You're not urban.
No black man should be comfortable.
What are you talking about?
No black man should ever be comfortable giving a pass to any other race, Hispanics or others, to say the word nigga. That should never be a quote-unquote pass given, bro. That's wrong.
And my older generation doesn't believe in younger homies saying the N-word like that, but a lot of people do. A lot of us do.
That's because we didn't.
But we also grew up in the hood, and
y'all
it's like a
didn't
thing.
eat tacos at each other's houses and shit. Some of my best friends, bro, I got best friends who didn't passed away that was Latinos, that I was in the streets with, that I thugged with every day.
Away, tattooed on me as a black man.
Every
So
day.
I concur.
Ain't no taco good enough to get the N-word pass, bro.
Man, you don't even understand it. You're a fucking
I'm sorry, bro.
Next topic. This nigga's a clown. This nigga's
I'm sorry, bro.
Before we move on,
I'm a real one, bro.
No, you're not.
Bro.
You're a real one where?
Bro.
You just lied about
I'm a
where you was
real
from
one,
on
bro.
camera a month ago.
How I
You're
lied,
not
though?
a fucking real one. The fuck
How I
out
lied,
of here.
though?
You ain't no fucking real one. Nigga, you's a clown.
How I lied? I'm not a
Fuck
clown,
outta
bro.
here,
Feel me?
nigga. You
But
ain't no
you're
real one.
emotional right now
You ain't
and
no
angry
real
as
one.
fuck.
You ain't no real one.
Why are you emotional as fuck
Nigga,
right now,
you
though?
ain't no real one. You're a clown.
But why are you emotional
I'm
right now, though?
passionate. Nigga,
Emotional
I'm
as fuck, though.
passionate.
No.
Nigga,
Passionate is
I'm
talking loud
passionate
and
in what
explaining
I
your
feel.
point, though.
I'm passionate
No,
in what
calling
I
niggas
feel.
clowns is
I
emotional, my
passionately
nigga.
feel like you're a
Hold on. Poetik Bison Back, low-key bodying him. I said the same thing in yesterday's episode. I said the same exact thing. I said people like Suspect love to lean on that passionate shit. Nigga, just because you're yelling does not mean that you're passionate. That's not a proper way to display your passion, especially not in a radio or podcasting setting. It's inappropriate. It's annoying. It's immature. It's childish. It's overly emotional. And everybody's sick of it.
Nah, bro. Again, it's emotional shit, bro. You feel me? It's emotional shit, bro.
You're a clown.
Again, bro,
I passionately
it's
feel
pure
like you're a
emotional
clown.
shit, my nigga. Like,
I
you too
passionately
grown
feel
for this,
like
my
you're a
nigga.
clown.
You too grown for this, bro.
I feel like you're a clown.
You're too grown to act like this, though, bro.
With your fucking toes out.
Again, bro, you're too grown to be acting like this, bro.
You're too grown to come out here
You
with
feel me,
sandals
bro?
and your toes out.
Bro, it don't matter, bro. It don't matter, bro.
Fuck
You feel me, bro? Like, you look bad right now, my nigga.
26-year-old man
Like,
getting
why
called
do we
creepy
even
for
do this to
dating.
each other?
And stop talking.
No,
26-year-old man getting
bro.
called
Like, why do
creepy.
this to each other, my
Stop
nigga?
talking.
Why do this to each other, bro? Why do this to each other, bro? Why do this to each other, my nigga? Why come on here and have emotional?
If you're really paying attention, what Brandon just said in the previous clip mirrors what Flocko said to the Suspect a year or two ago. They're saying the same thing. This is yet another reason why I believe Flocko has plotted his takeover. Just recently, Flocko said that he talks to academics every other day on the phone for an hour or two every time they talk. What does that sound like to you? That's damn near a mentorship or something like that, right? And 2-3 years ago, academics planted the seed out there that Flocko could easily be running no jumper from within inside. He's essentially academics' Trojan horse. Because academics is a petty nigga. He beefed with Adam once. Yeah, they're supposedly cool now. But don't for 1 second think that academics doesn't get off on the fact that he controls Flocko and Flocko low-key runs shit at no jumper. And now they're about to get Suspect out the paint just because the disrespect levels are high enough to where I can see Act being in Flocko's Bison ear. No, don't take that from him. He can't even articulate a point, Flocko. He can't even articulate a point. Don't take that from him.
Responses, bro. But why be so emotional, my nigga?
I think we should pause right here, and I do think we should probably address this. Can you guys?
It's emotional responses for no reason.
The news.
You feel me? Like we
Stop
adults, my
talking.
nigga. Bro, we're past the news shit. So Josh is talking
about
about
none of that. I don't give a fuck.
Exactly my point,
I don't
bro.
care. I'm
And
trying
we're
to talk
podcast-
about the news.
Josh is talking, bro.
Care.
Josh paused for a minute. Yeah, bro.
I'm
Why
trying
do
to
you
talk
do this, my
about the
nigga?
news.
It's crazy,
I'm trying to
bro.
talk about the news.
Right,
What's crazy is you think
so
you
look,
can define
this
what
every time,
What's
though.
crazy is you as one person think what you can define what other people can say.
But it's a
What the
conversation,
fuck are
though.
you talking about?
We're going up today.
Why do a
on the
conversation
clip.
have to
And
turn?
next
turn
topic.
no, though, right?
Next topic.
Why do a
Next
conversation
topic.
as podcasters have to
Next
turn into insults, my nigga?
We're next topic though.
But
How
we're
about that?
co-workers, though, my
Next
nigga.
Topic.
Why do we have
Man,
to
you don't
do
wanna-
this shit for
let's not go
other
into
though,
that.
bro?
You the snakiest
Why though,
co-worker
bro?
here.
Well, to answer Flocko's question, the reason why they always have to turn into insults when it comes to so-called debating with Almighty Suspect, even though his job is to be able to talk and have differing opinions, but be able to talk it out. That's literally, what podcasts are all about. The best podcasts are the ones where people, always have to be debating, but that's kind of what sells. The first take thing, that whole concept is dying out, but you got to have some things you agree on and some things you don't, and that's just real. That's life. I don't know too many people that just agree with everything that their friends say or do. The best conversations come when there's a challenge from a friend, from someone you respect. And that's essentially the true nature of podcasts. It's supposed to be friends in a room with some microphones displaying the dynamics of their friendship, right? And whatever size friend group that is, that's kind of where podcasts started from. There's also the radio people approach, which is also where some of it starts from. But what first took off was Joe Budden and his friends sitting in a room, occasionally disagreeing with each other about music. There's a way to crash out and still drive a conversation forward. Almighty Suspect doesn't get that because he is a bad podcaster. To answer Flocko's question, the reason why he can't do that is because Almighty Suspect sucks at podcasting. If you disagree with me, check out this clip here. Now, Almighty Suspect, he had the opportunity to have his own show. It failed. You know why? Because him as the leader of that show is a bad podcaster. In theory, he would be like a younger version of Joe Budden. If Joe Budden were to get into podcasting in his 20s, Almighty Suspect is supposed to be that for no jumper. Does he seem anything like Joe Budden to y'all? Joe Budden, who was a Hall of Fame podcaster. Does he seem anything like him when it comes to just podcast dynamics? I'll answer that for you. No. Hell no. Absolutely not. It's blasphemous to even compare the two. But I feel like if we could be a fly on the wall on the meeting to hire a Suspect, and with Adam's obsession with the Joe Budden podcast, I'm willing to bet you that's the potential that they saw with him. Thing is, just like with the NFL, the NBA, you only have so long to prove that you can live up to your potential before they move on and go another direction. So let's check out why I believe they'll be going in another direction, away from this bad podcaster.
Because he was about to lie.
I think he was low-key pressing him, though.
Nah, I feel like, nigga, he looked like he wanted to. Did you see him do this one? Like, he's sitting there thinking about, like, do I really want to lie on this Bible? That's the vibes I'm getting.
Because now we know he lying. Like,
So basically, it's like, nigga, you didn't go to the moon.
you refuse is easy call.
Yeah, facts, but it's like...
Zay, if a nigga walk up to you and say, I'm going to give you $5,000, put your hand on this Bible to say your diamonds is real.
Oh, nigga, I'll put both hands on there.
Because
Then
your
what I'm
diamonds is
saying,
real.
And you can pull that tester out. I gotta
This
put
is
it
what
on
I'm
the ground.
saying, like, or anything, like, you feel me?
But if you were like someone famous and they tested your chain and that was fake, like,
But
you
it's
know
like-
how awkward that's
it's
gonna
like-
be? Like,
but it's
everybody's
like
gonna be looking like,
how
oh,
I
you
look
wear
at it,
fake diamonds?
But I'm gonna be the...
Oh, who gives a damn? This shit is so boring. Let's watch the watch blow up again.
Almighty wants to. He always has to do too much to get his point across. I don't have to do too much.
You didn't have no points. You lost.
I did have points because I called my cousin. You only got that.
And you were
point.
still wrong.
Okay,
I was
okay,
right.
I'll give you that.
You was wrong.
I'll
of
give you
course.
that. I'm
You
a
have to.
Scorpio, just like
you.
you.
have to give me that.
I'll
'cause
give
you
you
were
that
wrong.
because I'm a Scorpio. So chill the
That
fuck
part, no,
out.
2.
So chill the
Two.
fuck out.
2-0. We 2-0.
Because Almighty always thinks he's right.
I
That's
be
his
right.
problem. You're not
Yo,
right
I'm
all
wrong
the
today.
time. Just
I be
like when
right.
he says the thing about NBA Youngboy, you're wrong.
I be right.
You're wrong. You're not always right.
That's an opinion. That's
Next.
an opinion. That's an opinion.
You, all you
love
do is
Youngboy
have
because both of
opinions.
y'all mamas don't
All
like
you
y'all.
do is have
Get over
opinions.
it.
Okay,
You
I'm
love
sorry.
Youngboy 'cause
I'm
both
sorry
y'all
that
mamas
your
don't
mom
like y'all.
raised you.
Move on.
I'm sorry that you're raised in a
Exactly.
two-parent
My
household.
point.
You're raised in a two-parent household. You're raised in a two-parent. Okay.
I was.
Okay. Your mom loves you. Your mom loves you.
Suspect 3-0. Suspect 3-0. Suspect 3-0. Another one. What DJ Khaled said? Another one.
Hey, how many people?
What DJ Khaled said?
Hey.
Another one.
How many people who went through trauma with their
Another one.
mothers though?
Another one.
Just because Almighty grew up in like a prestigious household,
Another
and
one.
he has some type of culture behind him. He
Another
acts like this super gangbanger.
Another
yeah.
one.
All right.
Another one.
All right.
Cooked.
All right.
She's mad
you
now.
super gang member.
Who said he was gang member? I'm big old pimping. Cooked.
Pimping, or
Another
are you
one.
gang banging? Are you
Another
pimping, or are
one.
you gang banging?
Cooking.
I don't know. With the
She's
static you
mad
be having
now.
on
She's so mad.
So much static you be having on the internet. I don't know.
Cooked.
Blood. Is you a gang
Cooked.
member or is you a pimp? Blood.
You're
I'm trying
mad.
to make it make sense. Is you a pimp or is you a gang member? Blood.
I ain't never
Is you a pimp or a gang member? Blood.
Thank you.
Is you
Never
a
heard
pimp
me
or
say
a
no
gang
gang
member?
shit.
Blood.
Cooked.
Is you a pimp or a gang member? Blood. You walking around with
The niggas was
chains
cooking you?
though. You walking around with
You
niggas
saying blood all
chains
day, do
though.
you gang bang?
You
You saying blood all day, do you gang bang?
affiliated with him. I
Yeah,
guess.
fuck out of here. You ain't
So
from
you
nowhere.
don't gang
Shut
bang.
up. Stop saying blood. You ain't from
Yeah,
nothing.
where you
Shut
from?
up.
Where you
Shut
from?
up. You're from shit. Shut up.
Where
I'm
you
affiliated. I'm affiliated. I'm from nowhere. I don't say blood. Clown. Clown.
Your mom raised you.
Clown.
Your mom
My
raised you.
boss.
Your mom raised you.
What
your
your
mom
mama
raised
do?
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
you.
You're mad. You mad. You mad. 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 You mad. You mad. You mad. You mad. You're mad. You're mad.
I'm gonna be the what's that called where you like play the opposite because like y'all saying
Devil's advocate?
Yeah, I'm gonna be that because you feel me, like think about it like this, like kind of like if a nigga walk up on me with a diamond tester, right? Nigga walk up on me with a diamond tester, of course I'm gonna let a nigga test each and every one because like I got something to prove, you know what I'm saying? But like if a nigga walk up on Lil Durk with a diamond tester and he don't let a nigga test his diamonds, like we all know that nigga's a millionaire. Like you feel what I'm saying? Like it's stuff like that. Like maybe like he just was like, nigga, like, come on, bro. Like, nigga, what I gotta
Now he
prove
was
to this
insulted.
nigga? You know what I'm saying?
But
Like
he
he
was
probably
supposed to go
felt
to
the way like
charity.
he
That's
probably felt the way like, and then on top of that is going to charity. Like, nigga, I ain't even getting the 5K. Who are you to even make
Nigga, he's Neil Armstrong. He don't need $5,000.
Yeah, nah, I feel that. But
All right. So, to wrap this one up, 1, thank you for watching. 2, Almighty Suspect has a bird brain. He's a bird-brained podcaster. He comes up with the most basic topics. He was given the chance to have a podcast. It literally has 3 episodes. So if you think I'm hating, go and check. I'm serious. Go type in the Almighty Show, and you'll find it's literally only 3 episodes. 2 of them are titled The Almighty Stream, but it's the same thing. It's the same show. Canceled. They cut the cord. Didn't even let it get 10 episodes in. Cut the cord on that shit. He didn't even bother picking it up on his own channel so he could maybe, get better over time. Like somebody who actually gives a damn about their profession, their chosen profession at that. Nobody made you become a podcaster. You chose to become one. But anyways, to wrap this all up, Flocko is getting his revenge by way of bringing in Brandon, somebody who can have conversations. They had a 4-hour conversation, they being Munchie B, Adam, Lush, and Brandon. And it was fairly entertaining. It's not at 100,000 views, but it's also only been up for a few hours. So we'll see give it 24 hours and we'll see where it hits. But sometimes the numbers don't hit right away. I think Brandon's a pretty good podcaster. Granted, who is replacing the bar is in the dirt. Almighty Suspect is such a bad podcaster that anybody could be a better podcaster than him. Lush is better than him. Hell, Flocko has a whole speech impediment. His tongue is dookie brown and all types of other physical and mental ailments to him. And he's a better podcaster. Jalise sits there and doesn't even talk on the show. And she might even be a better podcaster. I don't know, man. Munchie's better. I said Lush already. That's pretty much everybody that's left, right? So here we are again. And actually, speaking of here we are again, I'll say my projection. Almighty Suspect will be fired either on Thursday or Friday. Wednesday, maybe. I think he sometimes works the No Jumper News on Wednesday. But right now he has an antagonist that may or may not be keeping him from going to the building. But we know he has to show up on Thursday. And he might have to go on Friday to do the music stream. So we'll see how that all plays out. I'll definitely be watching with multiple devices, all screen recording, just in case the live gets cut short early. You feel me? Anyways, thanks for watching. If you have watched 3 videos in the last 30 days, might as well hit the subscribe because you are entertained. If not, then when I pop up on your algorithm, go ahead and keep giving me a shot and all that good stuff. If you feel like commenting, go ahead. If you feel like leaving a like, go ahead. It helps the channel grow. And listen to whatever Yadameen says in the comments. Peace.
He thought he was in control. How wrong he was.